In the heart of the Taklamakan desert back in 1895, a man dragged his body slowly toward the shadow of death. Only a single drop of muddy water remained trapped inside his leather boots, and beneath his weary feet lay the ancient ruins of Luleå, slumbering silently for thousands of years. Sven Hedin, the legendary explorer from Sweden, unlocked the hidden secrets of the western regions, relying on nothing but his desperate will to survive. Tonight, accompanied by the endless whispering wind of the vast wilderness, let us wander into this journey filled with haunting charm and bone-deep despair. Some ancient secrets can only be uncovered at the cost of human life, such as the desolate Loppner buried deep beneath endless rolling sand dunes. Sven Hedin was far more than a professional geographer. He stood like a poetic soul specially chosen by the barren desert itself. Amid years tangled between miraculous survival and desperate peril, he devoted his life to searching for forgotten names and lost civilizations erased by the passage of time. On this quiet night, listen closely to the rhythm of his breath mingling with swirling sandstorms, and feel his overwhelming obsession with the unknown corners of the world. The entire life of Sven Hedin unfolded like a grand dream woven from endless searching, painful loss, and unexpected reunion. He traversed the very heart of Asia on foot, salvaging the long-lost civilization of Luleå from the deadly sea of shifting sand. Fame, worldly disputes, and profound solitude eventually faded away into the lingering sound of camel bells drifting through the quiet night. Prepare your heart to step into these distant memories that need no deliberate remembrance, and drift gently into peaceful dreams beneath the shining stars. What thoughts would linger in your mind if only a pair of sand-filled boots remained in your final minutes of life? In the spring of 1895, Swedish explorer Sven Hedin lay exhausted upon the towering ridges of the Taklamakan desert. His guide had already collapsed into unconsciousness. All his camels had fallen motionless upon the sand, and the blazing sun scorched his skin like molten iron, burning away every trace of strength. Tonight, accompanied by the softly flickering glow of the hearth fire, we walk fully into the untold life of this remarkable soul. Through this tranquil tale meant only for quiet reflection, the world only remembers him as the discoverer of the ancient city of Luleå, yet few understand how this deadly journey reduced him to a gaunt shadow barely resembling a human being. This became the underlying tone of his destiny. Within extreme exhaustion and physical depletion, his soul burst forth with an intense longing for lost ancient civilizations. This journey was never merely ordinary exploration. It was a secret, silent bargain struck between one lone man and the cold embrace of death. He traded his nearly drained life force for the most brilliant key, unlocking the buried history of the western regions. Now steady your breath and follow along as we journey deep into the golden silent wilderness of the desert. The ambition that shaped Sven Hedin's destiny did not ignite within the cold, quiet laboratories of Sweden, but bloomed vividly beneath the soft moonlight of Persia. At the age of 20, he could have settled into a predictable scholarly life with a clear future laid out before him, yet a single expedition journey awakened a deep, lifelong love for the mysterious East. Filled with the rich scent of spices and dry earth, he bore the striking, sharp-featured charm typical of Nordic people, with golden hair holding an unyielding stubbornness that refused to bow to fate. He was never content with digging through old dusty manuscripts for historical answers. His heart yearned to step foot into the blank, unmarked regions still left upon world maps. In 1895, when he first led a camel caravan deep into the Taklamakan desert, he never imagined he had gravely underestimated the cruelty of this legendary sea of death. Its terror did not arrive in sudden violent bursts, but unfolded slowly, like a gradual torment, draining life away bit by bit. Day by day their water supplies shrank. The once strong, majestic camels let out weak, mournful cries, and the air grew so dry and thin that every breath felt as if it burned his lungs from within. Sitting alone upon endless sand dunes, Sven Hedin stared at the trembling needle of his compass, his only source of inner calm and mental support. In those desperate moments he finally understood he was no longer a superior, detached observer, merely a tiny speck of dust trapped within the throat of the merciless desert. He once wrote in his journals that the desert never actively kills, it simply waits quietly, allowing weary travelers to surrender their souls willingly to the vast wilderness. The first day of May 1895 deserves to be etched forever into history, for it was the day Sven Hedin came impossibly close to losing his life entirely. His entire expedition team collapsed, leaving only himself capable of movement. He abandoned heavy gold treasures, expensive scientific instruments, and unnecessary luggage, keeping only his precious travel diary. He began crawling slowly across the burning sand, his throat swollen, raw, and inflamed as if pressed against scorching metal. Every exhale carrying a sharp taste of blood. When he caught sight of a faint streak of greenery far across the dunes, he convinced himself it was nothing more than a hallucination born from extreme thirst and exhaustion. That faint patch marked a branch of the Hoton River. He stumbled and rolled desperately down the sand slope, plunging straight into the shallow water without hesitation. Ignoring the thick mud swirling around him, he filled his leaking, leather boot with life-saving fresh water then turned back to crawl slowly across the sand, determined to rescue his unconscious guide. This near-death experience planted within him a profound reverence and fascination for the desert, akin to a devout believer worshipping a divine deity. He realized that when a person strips away all social status, reputation and worldly identity, remaining only with the primal instinct to survive, the inner soul achieves unprecedented clarity and peace. He came to understand that the Taklamakan was never truly barren. It merely hid its most precious treasures behind layers of despair and desolation. This narrow escape became a turning point for his spirit. From that day forward he no longer feared death itself, only the regret of leaving the world before unraveling the ancient mysteries hidden within the sand. 3 years later, as desert storms raged fiercely along the edges of Lop Nur, Sven Hedin received an unexpected gift from fate. One of his guides searching for a lost shovel accidentally unearthed several wooden tablets carved with ancient symbols half buried beneath drifting sand. Sven Hedin's hands trembled slightly as he held the weathered relics, the mysterious markings still clear and legible after crossing more than 1,500 years of time. He realized in that instant he stood directly upon the forgotten ruins of a kingdom lost to the ages. This was Lulan, the once prosperous, dazzling city upon the ancient Silk Road that vanished mysteriously overnight without trace. He began frantic, careful excavation, wandering among crumbling Buddhist pagodas and withered poplar trees, searching for the faint heartbeat of the long-buried civilization. He discovered its fall stemmed not from brutal warfare but from the gradual shifting of river water as the wandering lake of Lop Nur abandoned its people and left the city to wither beneath the sun. Standing silently upon the weathered ruins, Sven Hedin listened to the mournful wind sweeping across earthen mounds, as if hearing the distant jingle of camel bells and bustling chatter of ancient merchants echoing across centuries. He compiled his groundbreaking discoveries into books that shocked the entire Western world, yet plunged himself into half a century of inner conflict and identity crisis. Was he a noble discoverer revealing lost history to humanity, or a reckless looter plundering ancient relics? Was he protecting fading civilization, or taking advantage of its vulnerable ruin? These lingering questions swirled around him like endless sandstorms, yet he remained silent, returning time and again to the vast desert, for only within its quiet embrace could his restless soul find genuine peace. The later years of Sven Hedin's life became a relentless race against time and a delicate game of political diplomacy. He stepped away from his role as a lone adventurous explorer, organizing large-scale scientific expeditions into northwest China. This transformation dragged him deep into the whirlpool of geopolitical struggles, forcing him to balance carefully among the conflicting interests of multiple nations. He witnessed priceless ancient murals being carelessly cut away, precious manuscripts shipped off to museums in distant foreign lands, filling his heart with endless contradiction and sorrow. He confessed in his private journals that he carried these relics away to preserve them from being reduced to fine dust by relentless sandstorms. This quiet self-consolation sustained him well into old age, even when advanced years drained his strength, making it impossible for him to ride camels across the wilderness. He would sit for hours staring silently at maps of Central Asia spread across his office desk. He once joked bitterly that instead of ordinary blood, the saltwater of Lop Nur flowed through his veins. He never married and had no children. The fragmented ancient manuscripts and relics unearthed from the sand became the true continuation of his life. Even amid the smoke and chaos of World War II, his letters remained filled with longing memories of the snow-capped peaks of the Pamir Plateau. It was his spiritual homeland, a solitary realm blessed only with swirling sand, boundless silence, and the timeless breath of ancient civilization. In the deep winter of 1952, 87-year-old Sven Hedin passed away peacefully in Stockholm. Upon the table beside his bed lay the old fountain pen he had used during his near-death ordeal in the Taklamakan desert. His life answered the profound question raised at the very beginning. In the depths of mortal despair, it is not the simple desire to survive that sustains the human spirit, but the endless curiosity toward beauty, truth, and hidden history. He took tens of thousands of cultural relics away from the ancient wilderness, yet left his purest, most genuine soul forever wandering among those lonely dunes. Even today, Lop Nur still shifts mysteriously with the changing seasons, and the broken remnants of Lulan stand desolately beneath the glowing moonlight. The name Sven Hedin has long been inseparably fused with these legendary geographical landmarks, etched permanently into the pages of history. Our story draws to a quiet close tonight. May the tranquil spirit drifting from the distant desert smooth away all the twists and troubles hidden within your heart. There is no need to dwell endlessly on his merits and faults. Simply remember the lonely figure trudging slowly across the endless sand dunes on this serene night. Release all your worldly worries and let your mind sink into soft, peaceful dreams. May you cross thousands of years of time in your slumber and catch a glimpse of the ancient city of Lulan standing in its full prosperous glory. Good night and sweet, peaceful dreams.